Good afternoon. I'm pleased to talk to you about community perspectives. This is not about the science of coronavirus, but about how it's affecting their communities and how communities are responding to the information that's available. I'd like to introduce to you Sheikh Babikir, who is a religious scholar who will talk to you about the ethical and religious theme behind infection and disease.
Thank you, my sister. Assalamu alaikum, bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillahi, wassalatu wassalam ala ashraf al-mursaleen, Sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi wa sallim. First and most importantly, we have to realize what is happening today with this virus is not new. Since the beginning of humans living or inhabiting the earth, there is always a test. We were created to be tested, and the test sometimes is huge, sometimes is medium, sometimes is very small. Unfortunately, there is a balance that is missing. The world, when we look at the people living in it, it is divided into two camps: those who are religiously believers and those who are not. And among both camps, there are people who are not really practicing, and they don't worry about it. Those who are not believing, they are not practicing what they say, and those who are believing are not following what they believe in. And these people are the majority, and they are the one who are always waiting for a solution. And this kind of thing wakes them up. And if we look at our country today, the most beautiful thing, you see communities coming together. Our society, after Brexit and all these troubles, it's been forgotten. We are now saving humanity. And with all that which is taking place in the political scene across the world and trying to save the environment that we live in, it is astonishing to see a young girl from Scandinavia going around the world telling our leaders off because we are not really caring for the world that we live in. We as humans, if we believe, we are spiritual beings living in physical material bodies, in a physical material world. But as the Creator Almighty explained to us of the people of the past who put the love of the material world in their hearts and neglected their origin and where they come from, and then they were inflicted. This disease that is going around, we don't know. We don't blame anybody, neither the scientists nor the political leaders. Everybody doesn't know what is going on. They are trying their best. In fact, the medicine for it is there. The Prophet, peace be upon him, says, Allah has created the medicines before he created the disease. And therefore, he is giving us a chance to investigate, to research, and to find out. And the scientists are working hard to find the solution. However, what I would like to say is that what should we do when these things happen? This is not the first plague, as I said, that happened to humanity. It happened during our Prophet Muhammad time and the prophets before him. One significant thing in the history of Islam, during the Khilafah of Umar, when he traveled with a group of companions to go to Sham. While he is entering, one of the great companions called Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah met him and he informed him, don't enter the city because they have the plague. And it's like a warning. You can camp and then you can go after a while. Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab addressed his companion and said, we will go back to Medina. So Abu Ubaidah said to him, Afirarun min qadarillah, are you escaping from the decree of Allah? As if you don't believe? The Khalifa answered him beautifully and says, I'm escaping from the qadar of Allah to the qadar of Allah. Because you don't know what is going to happen next. An accident could take place. You could die while you are asleep. Anything could happen. That's not the question. The question is why did not go? Was he just made this choice by himself, or is coming from a learned place? It's coming from a very informed place, because another companion called Abdurrahman ibn Auf reported that the Prophet ﷺ said, if you are entering a place where there is a plague, an infection, and that could destroy humanity, don't enter it. Return from where you came. And if you are there, don't escape it. Stay put. And this is Umar ibn Khattab listening to the teaching and following it, although he is the Khalifa. He listened to the advice of the companions who told him what the Prophet said. Another thing as well, he remembered A man once came to the Prophet ﷺ and asked him a question. This is my Sheikh camel, Ya Rasulullah. Shall I tie it? Or shall I let it go and depend upon Allah? He said, tie it, then depend upon Allah. So what we hear from the scientists, what we hear from the politicians must be followed. And if you are a believer, whether you are Jewish or Christian or Muslim, it says, obey your Lord, obey your messenger, and obey those who are responsible for you. I am British, and then I'm a Muslim. I must follow the guidance from the British government because I'm a citizen of this land. If you are Jewish, you should do the same. If you are Christian, you should do the same. And whatever faith you follow or not, the government advice is paramount in this kind of occasion. Why? Because you alone could be the reason for the destruction of thousands of people. This plague that is covering the earth now, I had never seen something like this. For the first time, borders are locked. Schools and colleges, universities are locked. Markets are tumbling. Everything. Most of it because people don't understand. Misinformation, misunderstanding, and lack of real knowledge. And therefore I will say to everybody, please follow the guidelines and the guidance that is given to you. One of the things that, for me as a Muslim, in this month, which is the month of Mi'raj, the journey by night, no prophets, no messenger was ever taken from the earth to the heaven to speak to the Creator. The only one, as we know, as Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What did he go for? He was the only one to be called to bring to us as his followers, and not just the Muslim, the people of the earth. For he says, I am sent to all the people. He is the prophet of all the people, whether they follow him or not. To bring them salah. Salah, as we know it, it was prayed by the prophets and the messengers. No followers ever prayed it. Jesus Christ, son of Mary, when his companion said to him, we would like to pray it, he said, it's not for you. They asked again, he said, I will ask the Creator. When he asked the Creator, he told him to take those followers to a high place and show them how it is done. If they will understand it and do it, it will be for them, but it will not be. When he took them and he showed them how to do it, by the time he finished, they were all asleep. When he waked them up and they said, Master, show us how to do it. He said, you saw me starting it, but then as I told you, it's not for you. This prayer, which we pray 5 times a day, it was supposed to be 50 times a day. Imagine washing yourself 50 times a day. And now every scientist, every leader is telling you, wash. One thing we should remember, we say cleanliness is godliness. To be really a spiritual human being, you need to be clean in yourself, you need to be clean in your dress, you need to be clean in the environment that you are in. With all the technology, with all the knowledge we have, and especially the social media and the spreading of the misinformation, we are still unable to keep ourselves tidy and clean and our environment tidy and clean. When are we going to respond to the Master, to the Creator, the Almighty, by doing that which will benefit us? So now, cleaning yourself is paramount. We know that every time you touch anything somebody else have touched it, it could be infected. Please wash yourself. One person said to me, Sheikh, the advice is to wash your hand in a way that it will be like singing Happy Birthday 2 times. If I showed you how the Prophet used to wash his hand 3 times, as if to tell you, it should not do it just like this. This is what we see people doing. Open the tap, that's just done. No, you take the water and you wash, and you wash, and you wash. This is, imagine this is 1 time, and you do this 3 times. It will take the time you think Happy Birthday 2 times. And you do the same thing with the rest of the area. And subhanAllah, you have to wash your face, you have to rinse your mouth, you rinse your nose. Think about it, because all those germs go through the nose, go through the mouth, and you need to cleanse yourself to make sure that if there is anything, can come out. Second thing, sometimes you need to use chemicals. And these chemicals sometimes are mixed with things that are forbidden, like alcohol. Should we use it or not? A lot of people coming out and say, no, it's haram. Subhanallah. It's shocking. When some of us are dying as religious people and we are taken to the theater and they are injecting our bodies with all those things, we are not saying anything because we need to be safe. But we are trying to tell you to prevent your sickness by doing this. Anything that we have is halal, except that which Allah said is haram or His Messenger. Everything is halal. This is the rule in Islam and in faith in general. Everything is lawful except that which the Creator said is forbidden or His Messenger. However, الضرورة تبيح المحظورات. Necessity give permission for everything forbidden to be used if it is going to sort out your problem. Allah does not want difficulty for you. Allah said in the Quran, يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر. Allah wants ease for you, not difficulty. So if this cream you're going to use in your hands is going to save you, not just forget about yourself. As a believer, you should love for others more than yourself. In fact, when you wash, not just to save yourself from getting the disease or dying, so that you will not take it to others, especially children, innocent people, those who have got sicknesses, those who are very old and vulnerable and unable to look after themselves. So it is so important to realize not everybody is a mufti or a jurist who can give a decision. Social media is good, but like a knife, you can use it to benefit yourself or you can use it to kill somebody. And one person is killed by you, by your knife, as if you have killed the whole of humanity. Allah said in the Quran, one person killed by you deliberately, as if you have killed the whole of humanity. The same thing, carrying these germs in your hands and going and touching somebody else and causing him to die. Allahu Akbar. So my brothers and sisters, please listen and listen carefully and follow the teaching and be someone who is able to bring goodness rather than badness, to bring khair rather than shar, to bring life rather than death, to build rather than destroy. We were given the earth to live in it and to build it, to benefit from it so that we can prepare for our next journey. Our next journey is to go back to the Creator. With what are we going to go back? The wealth we make? The material gain that we have? We're going to leave behind. Did Michael Jackson take everything with him? Did Elvis Presley, who became the king of rock in the world, take anything with him? They took nothing. They went empty-handed. And many of them before, like Qarun and the rest, like the pharaohs, where I come from, they went with nothing. They buried their gold. Today it is in the museums. They buried their soldiers and their servants so that when they come up, they come with them. Today their skeletons are in museums. Please, don't listen to fabricated stories. Don't spread rumors. When news that is fabricated, you receive and you pass and it creates havoc, you will be in difficulty and trouble because you will be questioned in the day of judgment by the one whom you believe in. And if you don't believe in God, your conscience will eat you inside out. Let us live in this time like the way we're supposed to live. I believe myself, this test is waking us up. When I look yesterday in Britain, we were fighting like cats and dogs about Brexit. It's forgotten. Everybody now is talking about the coronavirus. How can we save ourselves? You cannot fly in or fly out. You cannot go to restaurant. You cannot go to theaters. Good. Why? So that we can begin to think of ourselves. What can we do as human beings? Are we just to eat and drink and sleep and then die? Or there is something more bigger than that? I believe one statement said by a wise man, and who's, to me, the greatest man ever to walk on this earth, Muhammad, peace be upon him, who says the best of people are those who bring benefit to others. Let us do this now. Let us support each other. Let us do the right thing. Let us listen to the advice of the people who can advise you properly. And let us build love rather than hate. Let us bring and join hearts rather than separating them. I will finish with this. One of the greatest statements that I ever heard. Al-mu'min ilfun alif. The one who believes is friendly, easily befriended by others. وَلَا خَيْرَ فِي مَنْ لَا يَأْلَفْ وَلَا يُؤْلَفْ. And there is no benefit in the one who cannot befriend others, nor nobody want to make them friends. Let us be friends. Let us be brothers. And humanity, if it has one thing that is good, when it comes to the spirits inside, all the spirits are the same. But the shapes and figures and colors the languages and the cultures are different. And you know why? Because that is where the test lies. We are tested by looking at one another. But if everybody's spirit come out, just like electricity, all the lamps have different shapes and different expense. The chandelier in the palace is not like the lamp in the poor man's house. Different in looks, different in design, different in cost. The same thing. The bodies are different. Tall, short, fat, slim, different colors, everything. But the spirit inside is the same. And the journey for me and for you from today should be thinking from within. And let us bring that goodness out by sharing and caring for one another. And I will say to everybody, please knock the door at your neighbors. Check who's alone. Check who needs help. You don't have to mix with them, but even take their telephone, their email, send them a text message, call them and ask them what they need. Don't just buy things and deliver it to doors. Maybe they don't need it, but ring them and be polite and say, what can I do to help? Maybe they have the money, but they wanted to shop for them. Today I hear that people are going to be given the first hour, those who are unable to shop in different hours with us, because everybody is panicking. And this is something everybody should think about. Don't go out and just buy. If you are a believer, especially to my believing brothers and sisters, don't go and just hoard things in your home. It's wrong. It's really wrong, because it shows that you have no faith. Love for your brother what you love for yourself. I go and take all the toilet paper, and there are people queuing behind me who want to take. I saw people fighting for things in the supermarket. I felt ashamed. How could we do that? Yet when we look at people in torn war areas and where the climate is not helping them to grow their thing, and we are sending them through our charity and running to fighting over the food, we laugh at them. We are doing the same, although we have everything. Wake up and let us all remember where we come from. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. From him we came, and for sure to him we return. May Allah help me and help you, and guard me and guard you. And I am writing for you special prayers for the spiritual people who want to read them. You can go to rumis.org, and we're going to put them there. They are simple. They are easy. The Prophet taught us to read those things at the time of calamities, and Allah will let us go through safely and to be able to help other people. Jazakumullah alfi khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much, Sheikh.
Thank you.
It was wonderful. And so we will stay on that theme that this virus is a huge lesson for us. And we now have a common enemy, and I honestly believe that the resilience that man has will in the end beat this.
Definitely.
All right. I want to just address a few issues where I have been, people have sent me emails, people have phoned me and said, please, can you help do something about this? Firstly, that a lot of children at school are refusing to have the hand gel to clean their hands either before they go to school or in school. You now have heard Sheikh Babikir, who said that that's something incumbent on you, and that means it is important, you must do it, and you must encourage your children at school to use the hand wash and to use it properly. And then hand washing is extremely important. If we're going to beat this enemy, it will be by hand washing. Cleanliness is really, really important. You all know how to do your wudu, and the wudu of hand washing is exactly the same as a surgeon prepares himself before he does an operation. So if you wash your hands like that every time you go out of your house, you come into your house, you've been out and mixing in the supermarket, picking up goods, always do that, right? Because a person might be infected and have no symptoms at all. He might be speaking and there might be a spray of saliva, and the virus will live on objects for up to 48 hours. You then innocently go and pick it up, go home, oh, my hands is clean, I don't have to do it. I've heard people say, oh, I do wudu, okay, so I don't have to wash my hands, I'm okay for the rest of the day. As Sheikh said to you, that is not the case, right? And I would reiterate, just think, if you're responsible for one person getting this disease and dying, isn't that the most awful thing? So besides the hand washing, someone said to me, oh, you know, these people here, it's just a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy against all of us. From all sorts of reasons, people have said that. One is to keep us from not having the information. 2 is to control us. 3 is to remove us as a people. All of that is totally, totally untrue. I don't think anyone, or even when you read about the plagues that have been in the earth again and again and again, has it ever been so widespread? And this is all over the world. And if you are black, okay, don't say this is a black disease, as a white man's disease. I've heard it again and again, and when you look at the figures, it appears that it might be. However, there are very good climatic reasons and geographical reasons that you're not seeing it in a large part of the world. Remember, just in the last 2 days, 2 black Americans, baseball players, have tested positive. And there are a lot more people. You are not, and you don't have the immunity, okay, to fight against this virus. You're just as vulnerable as everyone else. So don't say, I don't have to do anything. It's very important. So the young children, that there's influence from the parents. The teenagers, it's really important for you not to say, I don't care, I'm going out with my friends. Remember, you too have a social responsibility. Another thing that is had been brought to my attention is that the mosques, and we will ask afterwards Sheikh Babikir to talk about this, not all of them are stopping large congregations. So I understand that we are a community, a people, and our culturally is to gravitate towards a community. But at this time, we cannot have large mosque services. Please, right? And don't say, I've closed down the wudu, you don't need to make wudu, but actually you can all come and stand in congregation. And then again, for communities, the Irish community have big funerals. The Muslim communities have big funerals. The Jewish communities, the same. However, we can say our prayers for the people who died away from where they are going to be buried. We cannot have big events after the burial, before the burial, right? And we can also say, I'm sure Prof will say, Sheikh will say, that you could do that you can actually have a memorial service when all of this is over. So those are very important. Well, you know what? It doesn't matter. I can't afford a mask, so I don't need to wash my hands. And then, you know, if I get it, I get it. You don't need to have a mask, all right? You simply need to stand away from people and say, if anyone's standing near you, you 2 feet away from them. You can see there's a distance between 2 of us. We didn't greet, we didn't touch hands when we met. But there's loads of lovely ways that you can greet people and show your respect, okay, without touching. The next thing was that I was going to talk about the stockpiling of goods and pushing people out of the way, and I think just socially it's really important that we say, oh, look, when these goods go in, these people are just grabbing it. We actually doing much worse than that. Then I also think that some of the language that has been used has not helped the likes of you and me, right? Even I didn't understand what social distancing was. Self-isolation. Well, self-isolation, I could see, do I need to be on my own? But what is social distancing? So social distancing is when someone in your family, or you know, has an infection, or they really have a temperature, coughing, okay, and it's new infection. Then you have to do social distancing. Firstly, the person has to be out of society. You don't go shopping, you don't go for a walk, you don't do anything, you stay indoors, all right, for 7 days after that temperature started. However, if you're living in a family, everyone in their family has to isolate, because chances are others are going to become infected. And so that means there's 14 days that everyone is isolated. And in our communities, quite frequently, we have elderly people staying with us. So your grandfather or grandmother, remember, they're much more at risk, right? So if you try and just sort out your house and say, well, they can't go and stay with someone else, it would be good if they could. So we have to share the house so that they're not at risk. So food perhaps is put outside the door of their bedroom. You've cleaned the bathroom and the lavatory really, really well, disinfected it before they use it, and again afterwards. And always remember that wonderful grandma of yours, okay, you might be responsible for her not being there at your next birthday. So very, very important. And please, can I just reiterate again, okay, everybody is trying their best all over the world, in Africa, in Europe, and in Britain. And to be honest, we are really privileged to live here. We've got an NHS, which is free at the point of access. We've got people who are passionate doctors and nurses and health people. And in this building, there's 400 scientists, and everyone wants to make sure that we defeat this common enemy. And I'm sure together, we all will be able to do it. I'm just going to go back to the mosques and ask Sheikh Babikir to talk about it. And this is not only mosques, it will be the same thing for churches and for synagogues.
Definitely, definitely. To be honest with you, when you ask people not to congregate, the reason is because if there is an infection, it is easily spread when people are congregating. People sometimes they don't think seriously about these issues. But as I said earlier on, you could be the cause of inflicting others. And if one of them, la qaddar Allah, dies, then how are you going to keep that peace within your heart? That person has passed away because of your ignorance or inability or just misinformation. The masajid, we are not the only masajid. The three most important masajid for Muslims in the world, they are restricted to pray in. Mecca, Al-Masjid Al-Haram, Medina, the Masjid of the Prophet, and even Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa and the Dome of the Rock. Those places, the prayer is restricted. For the first time in the history, after Isha, the two masajids in Mecca and Medina are closed. and they're cleaning all night. Although, mashallah, they do a good job by cleaning them. If they don't do that, these millions of people who are coming, they will always be in trouble. Other than that, they are restricting the prayer in all the masajid in the kingdom of Saudi Arabia. In fact, they stopped all the congregation from yesterday for all the pray at home in Kuwait, in some other Gulf state, in some Arab countries, and all the Islamic jurists around the world are giving fatwas that if it is going to increase the danger for people living, we can stop the congregation. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want us to kill ourselves. Allah wants us to save ourselves. Allah wants ease for us, not difficulty. So please, don't make it. Don't let it become law, like in some countries whereby if you do it, then you are taken to prison. We don't want that. We are wise enough and we are believers. We trust in the message that we receive. So we need to follow the law. And the law is not just the law of the Quran and the Sunnah, the law of the land where we live. Because the Prophet, peace be upon him, says, Hubbul watan min al-iman, loving where you live is a part of your faith. We live in Britain, we carry a British passport. This is my home. This is your home too. Look after your home, because it's not good that we want every goodness out of it, but when the hour of need comes, we don't do something. I said in my last sermon or khutbah of Jum'ah in my masjid, and I'm sure a lot of churches, a lot of synagogues, they did something. I said to my musallin, please, the sunnah in fact, to make your wudu at home generally. But now it is paramount, you should not make it. Because by all of us touching the taps, we're using the same toilet, problems. Number two, when we come to pray, we should make sure that we bring our own prayer mat. Because imagine the same place somebody inflicted, making sujood, then you are carrying the germs or putting it on the carpet. And even, I will say, some masajid went to the distance to say that you can join your prayers. So Dhuhr and Asr are prayed together, Maghrib and Isha prayed like the Central Mosque of Leeds. I saw yesterday their advertisement, which is fantastic. The ulama gave the fatwa, okay. But it doesn't have to come to that. Every one of us can pray at home, because you cannot pray apart in the masjid. We are praying shoulder to shoulder. If we just say, oh, Allah is going to look after us, but Allah who is going to look after you told you and taught you through your Prophet and your beloved Muhammad, you must be cautious, because this is a test. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ, we will test you. Whether we like it or not, we're going to be tested. And I will say one thing, this body of ours, it's not really belonging to us. It's an amana. And Rasulullah said in the hadith, وَلِجَسَدِكَ عَلَيْكَ حَقٍّ, and upon you there is a responsibility to look after your body, to clean it, to rest it, to feed it wisely. And many people just keep eating and they think it doesn't matter. It matters. It's not just halal food as well, by the way. It's to eat good halal food. Okay? وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا حَلَالًا طَيِّبًا. Do eat and drink, but that which is lawful, but good food. Not food that is rotten or food that is going to bring you disease. So Allah is telling us to look after our bodies. Rasulullah is telling us to care for our bodies. This body we are going to be buried, as my sister just said, we don't all of us have to go to the graveyard if it's going to cause problems. I'm going to ask one question, and if you think about it, if somebody dies and who have this disease, this virus is in their body, how are we going to wash it? Are we going to have all those things that are necessary for the people who wash to dress properly? Or are they going to touch the body? All these things, we should be very careful. Some people come and say, it doesn't matter. It's not going to harm us. No. We listen to the scientists who know. If the body is going to be contaminated and the person who is washing it is going to carry the disease, he might die or take it to others. No way. I will tell every Muslim leader and every masjid community, their leadership must sit down and make the decision for their community. I tell you, this thing nobody knows. It could go for 3 months, for 6 months, for a year. We don't know. I am only reminded by the Prophet ﷺ, who said at the end of time, Allah will inflict the people by diseases that too many people will perish. In Germany, when they asked the Chancellor, she said from every 10 there could be 7 contaminated in Germany at the moment. She doesn't know. She's right. Because how do we know? We didn't test everybody. So for this reason, I will say every masjid community, the leadership should sit down and make the decision to suit the masjid. Should we stop people coming to the masjid? Should we close the masajid? Nothing. If the masajid in Saudi Arabia, all of them, where Islam came from there is no jama'ah at all. It's not wrong to pray at home. We can pray jama'ah at home or we can pray singly. So let us take this seriously. Let us be responsible, because at the end of the day, we are responsible for whom we look after. Rasul said in the hadith, "Kullukum ra'in." You are all shepherd. My sister called me here because in this university, with all those scientists and medical people she works with, she is responsible. She is passing a message. I feel myself as one of the community leaders or spiritual leaders, it is my responsibility to pass what I know. And what I told you, what I have learned. There is more to say. Time is short. The only advice I will give, we need to make the pious, right decisions. If we don't make them today, look at the Prime Minister and his people. People are criticizing because they're not coming with sharp decisions. We should make decisions. Close or not to close. Visit or not to visit. We can't say pick and choose. No, no, no. If it is going to be a problem, shutting a school, or closing a university, or even closing a masjid for salah, it's fine. Because the Creator subhanahu wa ta'ala said it. I want you to live. I want you to have life. I want you to build. I want you to unite. I want you to be together. And I want you to love one another. If we love one another, we will support and help one another, inshallah, especially those who are less fortunate or unable to look after themselves, inshallah.
Thank you. So, we will end with that the most important thing to learn from this is also that somewhere we lost the love for ourselves and for humanity. And I'm sure that this will reinvigorate it. And I'm sure all of you would, as my father said, live every day and plan every day as though you're going to live forever.
Yeah.
And we can be looking forward to perhaps the end of the year or next year and keep that going. But live every day as though it's your last. So do all the things to everyone that you would like them to do to yourself. And so the important messages we take away: community, cleanliness, okay, and helpfulness, and listen, all right, to the direction. Everyone is trying to help you, okay, and there's no conspiracy.
No.
Okay, so thank you very much this afternoon. Thank you, Sheikh Babikir.
Dr. Farida. May Allah bless you for what you are doing, and may you and all the scientists with you find a solution for this problem, inshallah. And with Allah's blessings and the right direction and teaching and good leadership, inshallah, people will come at the other side safely, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, salams.
So please remember, if we all help and do a little bit, it will make a big difference.